The chapter begins with what they tell us about the protagonist. He is not only good at school, but also handsome, and that's why all the girls at school love him. They often invite him to go somewhere or become his friend. But he refuses them because he already has someone. She is the queen of the garden among the school flowers. All the guys at school dream of dating her. He looks like a lucky guy, but in fact, he has to work hard to make his girlfriend happy. He often works at a not very good job, for example, cleaning near the toilets in the store. Although Wang Bing has excellent grades, but he has an ordinary family. Wang Bing does everything that can be done to earn money, whether it's tutoring, waiter, or even running errands. A man will give his life for someone who appreciates him, and a woman decorates herself for someone who likes it. He lets her buy anything, and she's really happy. Wang Bin's dexterous mind is used not only in studies, but also in games, and he is also very capable by nature. He finally coped with the game. And although he devoted little time to the game, he coped, even though it took a whole month. At the same time, a window appeared in which they reported that he had passed the test and was invited to enter the post-apocalypse world. But if he dies in the game, he won't be able to return to the real world anymore. Of course, the greater the danger, the greater the reward, so he needs to make his choice. Wang at first thought it was a hoax, but then he thought about the offer. He understood that if he died, he would not return to reality anymore, but if he held out the most, he could get a big reward. He can easily pass the game, so he decided to agree. Clicking on consent did not happen, and he began to get angry that he actually believed in this nonsense. He was immediately congratulated for making the right choice and asked to familiarize himself with the rules of this system. After reading them, he realized that he could move things from there to the real world. He was glad that he would be able to pick up precious things and move them into reality. 4 hours left. Therefore, he should hurry up and buy the right things for 7 days. But last week he was on a date with Xiao Qin, and therefore there is no money. He came to his friends who were playing games and they were very happy about Van. He asked them for money and of course they agreed to help him. He asked them what about their living expenses, but they just pushed him out the door and said they understood why he came to them so late, and also that the brothers understood him and let him be careful. He knew something was wrong, but friends thought that Van wanted to take the girl on a date. At the same time, the protagonist tightly squeezed the money and promised that when he got rich and returned from that world, he would definitely have fun with them. He collected a whole backpack of things, and all this should be enough for 7 days. He also took a shovel with him to use it to find a shrink and also defeat enemies. He understood that having gone to another world for 7 days, there would be only one in the real world. But he still wanted to call Xiao Qin. He dialed her and she answered. He warned her that he would leave tomorrow for the whole day and return only the day after tomorrow. At the same time, she said she wanted to talk to him, but he added that when he arrived, then they would talk. She said she would wait for him and blushed deeply. After we are shown that she is sitting in the car with an unknown guy and after he touches her leg. But she only said that no one had called and she wanted to continue. At this time, Van was thinking why did she hang up so quickly and that nothing was happening. Then he started shaking and immediately cleaned up in another place. He realized that this is a real journey through time and space. The protagonist looked around and realized that since this is the post-apocalypse, then there must be Walking Dead. Looking out the window, he saw a huge horde of zombies. He thought he had enough resources for 7 days, so if he wants to find something, then he needs to explore this world and find out more about it. After that, Van gives the first advice. Always keep a sapper shovel at hand in case of a crisis situation. Cleaning tip 2. Choose a road with fewer Walking Dead for safe movement. Tip 3. When zombies are concentrating on something, don't distract them. Tip 4. Absolutely avoid unnecessary battles. Tip 5. Use the sensitivity of walkers to sounds to distract them. When he distracted the zombies, he realized that nothing like this would happen to him in this world as long as he avoided zombies and searched for treasures. But it seems to him that someone is following him. He assumed it was either a sentient kind of zombie, or it was a real person. He understood that in this world people are scarier than zombies, so he wanted to hide. He didn't know if it was the local indigenous population or if they were the same people who came like him. It doesn't matter who they are. All that matters is that they might want to kill him and take all his things. He understood that if he died, he would not be able to return to the real world. The only thing he can do is climb up. He sat in a corner and waited. It doesn't matter if it's a human or a zombie, he definitely has advantages in this area. He waited, but no one came up. He looked up and saw the fish. It turned out that it was a girl. She pointed a knife at him and ordered him to leave all the food, or she is not responsible for herself. He refused her and then she said that she would be much rougher with him. She gave him 3 seconds to hand over the food, or else she would kill him. He immediately realized his mistake. He had to leave the bag somewhere and explore the area without it. But he understood that it was just a girl. Therefore, he is confident in himself. He immediately hit her with a knife with a shovel and she jumped back. Pouncing on her, he shouted that she was the first to try to rob him, so let her not blame him. but she concentrated and saw his weak points and attacked them. And he flew against the wall and she pinned him down and warned him if he moved, she would cut his throat. At the same time, he said that there are canned meat and dried food in the bag, so this food is enough for two. And he invited her to work together. She immediately drooled, just from the mention of canned food. And Van noticed this. He thought that all the people here were crazy. He knew this was his chance. The girl asked him to give her meat and he used a taser. She fell down and Wang told her that although she was very hungry, but she should not have robbed him and threatened him. But he still felt sorry for her, and he left her food and water. In return, he borrowed her dagger and left. She took the meat and water and was very surprised. She thought, who is he? Wang understood that he needed to find a place to hide. In this post-apocalyptic environment, people are really more frightening than zombies. At the same time, two bandits appeared in front of him, who told him to give them all his belongings and then they would not kill him. Wang realized that the commotion had attracted the others. He was immediately attacked from the side by a man, but he managed to defend himself. They all attacked from the front and from behind, but even with a stun gun he would not have coped. Others rushed at him and shouted that there was probably a lot of food in his bag, or they would just eat him. Because of this, Wang got very angry and took out a knife. The bandits started shouting for them to stop the bleeding, otherwise the smell of blood would attract zombies. Wang immediately wanted to take advantage of the moment and run away, running into the alley. He got into a dead end and immediately other bandits appeared. The wounded villain wanted to tear off his hand, and the head asked how dare he hurt the members of the gang, Tiger Head. The situation was not very good for him and Van understood everything. The girl was sitting on the roof of the house and realized that he was just a beginner. She jumped off the house while the bandits approached him threateningly to kill him. She took a brick and began to sneak up, while the head said that she would torture him very slowly. She showed him not to make any noise. A second later, they turned around and saw that she had a broken head. Then she jumped down from above and hit the back of her head, but she immediately realized that they were very strong. Wang was pleased with this, but the head noted that he had trained in the iron head technique. She asked to return the dagger to her and Wang understood that he would rather die at her hands than be eaten by them and threw the dagger to her. When she grabbed the dagger, she saw the weak points and cut his neck. Wang was shocked, even though they were cannibals who deserved to die, but it was the first time he saw someone being killed. Other bandits were very scared and scattered. He told her that she needed to finish them off, because if they ran away, they would be in trouble, but she grabbed him and said that now was not the time, and called him with her, because now with this noise and the smell of blood, a completely new wave of zombies would come. She dragged him along and Van realized that she was a good person. If he doesn't mind her, then she can be his assistant for the rest of her life. Zombies were already walking everywhere, and they were already in the house. They ran for an hour, but Van was glad that he ran every day at school. He said he was safe now because of him, and they put a knife to his throat. He asked why she was doing this, because they were on the same side. She replied that people tend to betray others. She asked him to put an electric thing on the floor. He did so and she threw him away. And Van realized that she was still angry about the taser. He told her if they got along, he would give her more delicious food. He took out all his supplies and said that if she helped him stay here for 7 days, he would give it all to her. Seeing this, she was just shocked. At the same time, he thought that it was good that he took food with him in reserve. But this is only half of what he has, and he still won't eat it all alone. She started crying and asked who he was. She asked him where he got it all, but he replied that he couldn't say yet, but she had to believe him. He only needs to stay here for 7 days, and if they see each other again, he promises to give her more food. She understood that she should have killed him even earlier, but he left her precious food and water, which no ordinary person would have done. She agreed with his proposal and added that if he did not want to tell, then there was no need and they made peace. She immediately warned that this was her room and he could not enter there without permission. And behind him is his room. He said he couldn't beat her anyway. After that, he invited her to meet and introduced himself. Her name is Guan Xiu. Van Bin understood that it was not surprising that she was afraid. After all, she has been in this world for a very long time. Already in his room, he realized that everything was so exciting here, but now everything has settled down. Xiao had closed all the windows, so it was safe here, despite the fact that everything is covered with dust. Judging by the interior, rich people lived here. At the same time, he decided to examine the bedside tables, but there was nothing. There's nothing in the closet either. Van realized that a lot of time had passed and everything could have been stolen for a long time. And immediately he found the decoration. He didn't know if they were real, but they had to be expensive anyway. He understood that if he sold everything, he could become fabulously rich. He had already dreamed of returning to reality, marrying a goddess and living in luxury. But before that, Wang decided to first ask Xiao if these things did not belong to her. He went into her room to find out everything, but she was changing clothes at that moment and was naked. He began to tell her about the stones more and more quietly and immediately apologized and ran away. She also thought that he wanted to return all the food that he gave her. Van understood that it was still a girl's room, so he needed to knock next time. She asked her through the door if she could sell him the jewelry that was in his room. After leaving the room, she asked what kind of jewelry. She told him that these things were useless, so he could take them. She explained to him that there used to be an elite area here, so there are a lot of such decorations in every house, but why would he need them? If they cannot be eaten, they cannot be exchanged, and they will only become a burden for him. Wang explained that they were very useful for him and asked if there were exactly a lot of such ornaments here. She didn't understand him, but since he gave her a lot of food, she would show him everything. He thanked her for her help. At the same time, she said that she would be glad if he gave her another can of chips. After that, he had a bunch of different jewelry. All this cost millions of dollars. He wondered how many years it would take him to earn that kind of money in the real world. He asked her again if she really didn't need all this. At the same time, she remembered that there was a safe nearby and invited him to look. Wang understood that there might be even more valuable things there. Zio said that she tried to open it, but nothing came out. Usually these valuable safes are connected to an alarm system that automatically alerts the police about several cases of incorrect code entry. But now that the electricity has failed, they have enough time and they can take their time. He kept trying to open the safe and Zio said she would go look for more jewelry in other places. After a while, he was able to open the safe and there was a lot of money, gold and jewelry lying there. The necklace must have cost a lot more than all the others. He also wanted to take the gold, but such money did not circulate in their real world and therefore threw it away. He decided to take everything with him. When Zio returned, he was already looking at the gems. She asked him why he was staring at these stones if her candy is much better. At the same time, he explained to her that he knows how to make these things worthwhile, and then he can exchange them for this food. At the same time, she wanted to help him find even more of these things if he would give her more food, but he didn't know if he would see her again next time. Then he asked the system if it could hear him, and she said yes to him. He said that 7 days have already passed and he is leaving here, but when he appears next time, where will he appear? Then it was explained to him that he would appear next to the place where he first appeared. Then Wang told her that as long as she helped him collect gold and jewelry, he would continue to bring her all kinds of goodies, and Zio agreed. But it seemed to him that he was cheating a little, because he was trading food for gold. Zio said that the city has almost run out of food, and the only food that can be eaten now is food that looks like dried rats. Food like his is a real luxury. At the same time, he asked her why she did not sow the land and build a strong defense network. She said that over the years, the government has created several human colonies. It is surrounded by high walls, heavily guarded, and zombies cannot get inside. Everyone who survived is trying to get to the places where people gather, but unfortunately, very few get there. The government is working to solve the problem of the virus, developing the colony, in fact, achieving self-sufficiency. But even there, people barely survive and it is impossible to return to the old standard of living. At the same time, she asked him what he was doing. Wang said that he is a merchant from a distant country and his job is to collect jewelry and gold and exchange them with the surviving members of high society. At the same time, she added that if he wanted to pick up, she would take him there during the day, and that he would not go out alone at night. Immediately, someone yelled and Zio said that someone stepped on a trap outside. They were tiger head people. They understood that if there are traps here, then there are people here. He immediately realized that these were the people of that gang, and he once again regretted that he had not killed those bandits. She told them to get out of here quickly. At the same time, the bandits discussed her and the one-eyed bandit said that he often saw her here. The boss was very angry at her and ordered her to be found alive in order to personally kill her. Ban asked her what they should do, because there are so many of them. Zio realized that they found out that she was here because of the fact that she often visits this area. They couldn't stay here anymore. She would show him another safe place. Elsewhere, there were a lot of zombies on the ground floor, but they were safe. At the same time, he decided to play a little on the phone so as not to listen to the screams of zombies. She was surprised that his phone was working. Then she asked if she could listen to some music. He gave her headphones and she started listening to music. Van was glad that she was starting to return to her former self before the apocalypse happened. He sat next to her and listened to the music. Zio recognized one song and started crying, remembering happy days with her family. She remembered her little self, her father and mother, and how happy they were together. After that, she gave him the earphones so that he wouldn't waste a lot of energy. He asked her why she was crying. Then Zio said that she had not listened to music for a long time and she brought her back to the days when she was with her parents. Wang understood that all these years, she had suffered a lot. He gave her the earpiece again and told them to listen to this song together. He promised to bring her another phone and some charged batteries next time. And she was very happy and grateful. Wang was very surprised. He didn't even notice how cute she was. His heart started to flutter a lot, but then he calmed himself down because he has Zhao. and they continued listening to the music. They sat there all night and the flowering had already begun, and they fell asleep together listening to music together. In the morning, she explained to him that Tiger Head is one of the 4 largest gangs in the city, and they run the western part of the city. And those 3 men who surrounded him last night from this very gang. Here they are the most powerful in the area. If there hadn't been so many zombies that time, they wouldn't have let them escape. The leader of the gang is a tiger. He has about 60 people, and they have about a dozen guns, so they are pretty strong. They are based in the tallest building on the west side of the city, in the colorful Estao, which is staffed by a large supermarket. They took over this building, and now they own all the paraphernalia there. Wang understood that since there were so many of them and they had weapons, they would not be able to take revenge on them. Zio also added that Tiger Head has 3 other gangs in the city. Among them is the most powerful gang of Wild Sands, located to the east of the city. Its leader, Sin, has more than 100 men and 20 guns. Next in strength is the Giant Bear Gang in the north. The leader is Brother Xing. Although they have more than 40 men and 7 or 8 guns, but they have acquired a lot of powerful explosives and grenades. The most powerful gang is the Flying Eagle Gang in the south of the city. Its leader, Brother Fei, has less than 60 people in his hands and only a dozen or so guns. But they say that each of them is so strong and capable that other gangs do not dare to mess with them. Therefore, even if they are the weakest, the other 3 gangs do not dare to provoke them. As a result, 4 gangs are responsible for their part of the city, and they do not want to encroach on each other. In the coma of these 4 gangs, there are only a few stragglers who gather in groups, or they live alone, like Sayo. There are probably less than 1,000 of them in the city now. Most of the original 2 million people here have turned into zombies, and some have fled the city to other places. After that, he asked her if she knew where the city storage was located. Zio explained that the bank was robbed right after the apocalypse, and all valuables were seized, and now it's useless. But the most likely place to hide the gold is in the building where the Wild Sands gang is located. Previously, there was the largest bank in the city. Money was sent for storage under close supervision. Wang understood that it would be difficult to steal gold from there, and Zio confirmed this, saying that the Wild Sands gang could not be deceived. At the same time, the protagonist replied that he was not stupid enough to beat eggs on stones. The next few days, he and Zio stayed in this house and did not go out. Over the past few days, he has occasionally seen people passing by below, and it seems they are members of the Tiger Head. But since the building was surrounded by zombies, those people did not dare to approach him, much less think that someone dared to live with walkers. Very quickly it was time for him to return to the real world. He told Zio that he had saved all this food and drinks for her. At the same time she said how he would survive if he gave her all the supplies. He told her not to worry, but just to take food and water and hide. He will be gone for 7 days, so I asked her to take care of herself. He'll be back for her in a week. She hugged him. She asked him to stay or take her with him. He apologized to her because he had to leave for 7 days and she had no way to take her with him. But he promises her that he will return in 7 days and bring her more food and other useful things. He asked her to take care of herself before he came to her again. Wang understood that he shouldn't have told her where he was going back. But the last few days together made it clear that Sayo was a reliable person because he was the one who got her into trouble. When he returns to the real world, he will sell all the jewelry and gold and bring her something nice next time. At 12 o'clock in the morning, she ran into his room, but he was no longer there. At the same time, we are shown a park where a young couple is planning to do a pleasant thing and Van got out of the bushes screaming. Noticing the couple, he apologized and told them to continue. For him, the ordinary world was a paradise compared to the post-apocalyptic world. He decided to tell Zhao that he is rich and take her to a luxurious world. After calling on the phone, she said that she was now looking at the house with her family, so she would call back later. Immediately, her other young man appeared. He told her if she told him everything, he would help her with the down payment for the apartment. She told him to come to the Golden City, and he agreed. Wang wanted to sell jewelry and gold first, and then buy Zhao a villa and surprise her. When he came to the jewelry store, he turned to the girl. He asked to call the manager, but he stank a lot, so she told him to talk to her. She thought it was another student who came to ask for help. He showed her the stone and asked her to examine it. The girl thought it was a fake and said she could call the police. It was very noisy and the chief came out of his office. She started chasing him away, otherwise she would call security. Wang was not happy because she didn't even look at the stone, but she had already called him a liar. At the same time, Manager Zhang decided to look at the stone and Wang showed him and he was very surprised. The girl also said that he was creating problems. Then he ordered her to close her mouth and make him tea. The manager asked for his name and escorted him to the VIP room. After examining this stone, the manager asked him if he was selling this gem. At the same time, Wang told him to name a price for it and if it was too low, he would go to another place. But if the price satisfied him, he would sell the stone to him. The manager understood that even though this guy is so sloppy on the outside, But he has the audacity to walk around with such a precious stone and he is so calm. He was afraid that it would be difficult.
I would be very happy if you subscribed to the channel, liked and wrote a comment rating this manga on a scale from 1 to 10. Your opinion is very important to me. This will help me better understand what my audience is interested in, because you are really important to me.
The manager understood that even though this guy is so sloppy on the outside, but he has the audacity to walk around with such a precious stone and he is so calm. He was afraid that it would be difficult to negotiate with him. Wang thought that he should say less so that he would turn away from him. He did not understand why he did not name the price, and thought that he overdid it, and the manager offered him 9 million. Van was surprised and asked again. The manager thought that this was not enough and he decided to add another 500,000. He explained to him that in order to sell the stones, they must pay not only for design, processing, expenses and so on. Van was very happy about this and restrained himself with the last of his strength. He was willing to sell it for that amount. He explained that if it were not for the difficulties in the family, he would not sell it. Zhang asked what kind of family he was from, because the surname Wang belongs to the noble and generous, but the protagonist told him that he did not need to know. He also added that he has 9 precious stones that he can sell, whether he needs them, and the manager was very happy and said he needed all of them. In the end, he sold them everything and left. The manager scolded the girl, because she almost broke a big deal, so she won't see the bonus this month, and if he comes again, she should serve him very well. He had 64 million in his account. Only yesterday he was a poor man. But already today he has so much money. He also has gold bars, but he will sell them in different companies so that no one suspects anything. The taxi driver asked where they should go and Van replied that to the realtor's office of the Golden City. Afterwards, when he entered the building, he felt uncomfortable, even though he had millions in his account. But now he's a different person, so he can buy a villa for his parents in Zhao Qin. And he met her. He saw Zhao with a guy and asked who he was. The guy started laughing that this beggar was once Zhao's boyfriend. Other people immediately noticed that something interesting was about to happen. People discussed him and thought that he was a migrant worker and that the security here was bad. Zhao said that they were breaking up. She added that she had found someone who would take care of her and was even now buying her a house. Therefore, if he loves her, he should let her go and live happily. At the same time, Wang said that he could also take care of her and that they spent a lot of time and didn't that mean anything. Zhao replied that she wanted to break up in a good way and why it was necessary to arrange such a scene. At the same time, the guy told Van to be polite and not point fingers at him, otherwise he would break them to him. He wanted to answer him, but Zhao intervened, who asked him to stop because he could not win. He slapped him and started mocking him, and Van decided not to stand it and kicked him in the chest and he flew into the wall. Wang started yelling at him, but Zhao hit him for it and said again that everything was over between them and that she would never be with someone like him again. She ran up to him and asked if everything was okay. And Van realized that all these years of relationships were nothing before buying a house. At the same time, the guards appeared and asked him to leave here or it would not seem enough to him. At the same time, he asked why they would introduce themselves to the client in this way. The manager replied that the cheapest apartment here costs from 5 to 6 million. Therefore, even if he does not eat and drink, he will not be able to afford to buy an apartment here even in a year. Wang added that is 6 million a lot. At the same time, another manager appeared and asked him not to show off. He reproached the girl that she could not cope with one child. Wang said he wanted to buy a house here, but he's not in the mood right now because of the attitude of their staff. The manager said that he was a sales director and asked for their forgiveness. But if he was cheating X, then he would have to call the police. Wang replied that he would like to buy a house here, but everything is low grade, so he is not interested. The director and manager were shocked and angry at the same time because of his words. Other visitors thought how much he could pretend and it was interesting. He turned to Zhao. He hopes that she will not regret her decision in the future and wished her a long life. Leaving, the director grabbed him and asked what kind of apartment he was looking for. He said he needed a house worth at least 20 million. The manager's girlfriend started yelling at him even harder and asking who he thinks he is. The director wanted to remove the mask of a liar from him and said that they had one suggestion. There is a newly built villa near the Emerald Lake, the cost of which starts at exactly $20 million, so if he wants to see it, they can show it to him, but the manager asked to show what he will buy it with. Van agreed, but if he proves it, then these three should crawl on their knees to the main room. The girl didn't want to, but the manager said there were no problems. At the same time, Zhao's boyfriend woke up. He hit her and called her names and wanted to rush at Wang, but he threw a real gold bar at him and told him to shut up, because he was too noisy. The manager immediately noticed that he had hit him with a real gold bar. People thought he was real or not. Zhao tried to wake up her beloved and Wang turned to her. He said that she doesn't know how to appreciate someone who loves her, and that she was unworthy of him and said goodbye to her. The manager was wondering if it was a real ingot or not, and the girl was shouting to the guards to grab him. He showed them his phone and account and added that it was one of his many accounts with the least amount of money. The girl suggested that it was just a photo, but the director said that now he was their most respected guest and their deal was still in force. The director ordered these three to get down on their knees and crawl around 3 times or else he would fire them. They were very scared of him and were in shock. Other people realized that Wang is really rich and that you can't judge a person by appearance. They started crawling and Wang added that they should crawl 100 laps, and people started taking pictures of them and laughing. After that, Van was already in the shower and thinking about everything. He bought a luxury villa worth 30 million, not in a fit of anger, but only because he needed a safe and secluded place. He needs to prepare well for the next return, because there is still a lot of jewelry waiting for him. After that, in the morning, in the university park, his friends discussed Wang Bing and hoped that nothing had happened to him. They knew that he had hit Li's son, and he would definitely take revenge, so they were worried. They kept calling him, but he didn't pick up the phone. At the same time, he received a message and he thought that these were scammers who were constantly sending him messages. It said that his bank account was replenished by 1 million and another friend received exactly the same message. A friend even wanted to check the banking application. Suddenly they got such happiness. And in fact, they had 1 million in their account and were very surprised. They were immediately called by Wang Bing and asked what happened to him. He was driving in the car and said that he was returning to his home and asked if they had received the money. They were shocked that he had transferred the money to them. Wang Bing asked to accept this small amount. At the same time, a friend started shouting at him and saying that he was worried about him, but Wang replied so that they would not worry and believe that he had won a lottery ticket. They also decided to find out how much he earned, and he replied that about 100 million, and of course his friends were shocked. They were very grateful to him for this act, but Wang explained that they always helped him and extended a helping hand. This is nothing compared to this. They still have a lot to do in the future. After they found out that he broke up with Zhao and beat Lai, his friends advised him that even though he was God now, it would be better for him to hide. After all, Mr. Li is powerful, and he will definitely want to take revenge on him. He asked them not to worry, but first he has things to do at home, and then he will buy them a drink when he arrives. When he arrived home, he remembered that he used to work constantly or was busy studying to be with Zhao, so he didn't come here so often. His father and mother were waiting for him at home and were very happy. Because he arrived abruptly, they thought something had happened to him, but he told them that he had won a lottery ticket and brought some money home. He didn't want to hide it from them, but if he told them about the post-apocalyptic world and what was happening there, they would think he was schizophrenic. This time he came here not only because of his parents, but another person. He went to his uncle and said that he had a request for him. He also brought a bottle of good vodka. Uncle realized that he needed something, so he told him to spread everything and not waste time in vain. In his youth, he loved hunting. He had a shotgun and an air rifle at home. The government has tightened the requirements for weapons in recent years, so Uncle Zhao rarely goes hunting in the mountains. Van wanted to buy his air pistol. He immediately asked why he needed it and that he did not do anything illegal. Wang also said that soon he and his friends will graduate from university, and he and his classmates have found a remote place for an internship. And he heard that there are a lot of small animals there, and they decided to shoot at them, so he decided to buy his uncle's air pistol. At the same time, he said that as long as he would not use it to kill people, he would borrow it, and there was no need to tell him anything about money. He asked him to wait while he looked where he was. He doesn't need this gun anymore, so let him take it. Wang was surprised, because this is the first time he sees a real rifle. It is powerful enough to kill a boar. He also gave him this anesthetic and an intoxicant. He told him to be careful with her, because if you inhale too much, you can die. He also told him that they should not be seen. Otherwise the weapons would be confiscated, and there would be a fine or worse, a prison sentence. And Van thanked him for everything. After he took an air pistol and left his parents some money, he returned to the city. This time, he not only cooked enough food, but also bought a mobile phone and 10 fully charged batteries for Zio. In addition to the weapons, he bought new 7 heads and a machete, and also took the detonators they used to blow up the mountains. One day in the modern world is 7 days in the post-apocalypse. He doesn't know what happened to Zio in those 7 days. But he hopes that she wasn't captured by a gang. Teleportation began. Then a mention popped up that a living person was found 10 meters from the specified place, and they asked him if he wanted to teleport there, and he agreed and teleported. He was glad he was back, but this time he wanted to carry more. Zio had 1 bag of food left and she could no longer save and therefore cried. He opened the door and said he promised to come back and he's here. Zio started crying because he didn't leave her. She ran up to him and hugged him and started crying a lot. She was glad he was back. He asked her to calm down, because he had brought a lot of delicious things with him, so he wanted to eat and talk, and she thanked him. Then he noticed the wounds on her and asked what happened. She said that the boss of the Tiger had announced a reward for them. Now everyone is looking for them. She was worried about him, so she went out to find out something about him and was almost ambushed a couple of times. Wang understood that she didn't know how he left, but she risked her life for him. He hugged her and promised that he would make them pay for what they had done to her and that he would wipe out this gang. And she was very happy. Then he showed her what interesting things he had brought. She was pleased that he took an air rifle with him, because with it you can kill bad guys and zombies. He is also silent, so he will be hers. She thanked him, because she had always wanted such a weapon. He also brought a lot of goodies. These stocks are enough for a month for the two of them. She immediately attacked the beef and was very happy. At the same time she asked why he wasn't eating. He replied that he wasn't hungry, and that he liked to watch him eat. But in her opinion, this is not right and she told him to eat. He also gave her a phone and she was shocked that he was just giving her a phone. And he also gave her 10 charged batteries. And they will all last for a long time. She was happy and started crying. He asked her why she was crying and Zio explained that when the post-apocalypse came, her parents died and no one treated her so well. He also asked her not to cry and to enjoy the music along. During his absence, there was less and less food. There were also clashes between tigers and bears, but only a few people were injured on both sides. A few stragglers are also leaving the area in search of a government colony. I think now is the time. They decided to practice and shot at the poster and Zio shot pretty well. She also said that the power and firing range of an air rifle are a little small, so it will be difficult to shoot down a person at 50 meters. He told her that it was okay. You just need to shoot at close range. It would still be difficult to see this gun. And there was no sound from the shot. But she didn't know if the two of them could destroy the Tiger Head gang and the Wild Sands gang. Wang was all confident, because he didn't want to fight them directly. He needed to pit them against each other, and tonight they would just help them a little. Then he asked about the gold, because it is not needed and is most likely stored in a bank vault. You need to enter the bank building, preferably with a gang of wild animals, and destroy them at a time. His goal is to wreak havoc among these 4 gangs. This way it will be easier for him to find a safe place to store gold. But Zio didn't know how they would do it, and that's why he brought the detonator. Only the bear gang has explosives and grenades. If he uses a detonator to blow up the Tiger Head gang's warehouse, then their people will definitely blame it on the bear gang and start a war. Zio was inspired by this plan and wanted to kill everyone with someone else's hands. The only problem is that there should be a lot of guards in a place like a warehouse, so it would be difficult for them to sneak in. Zio replied that there is no electricity in the evening, and they go to bed at 8 or 9. She also knows this place very well. There are so many entrances and exits, and they won't be able to guard them all. When she told him the plan, Wang was pleased and said that since they were chasing them, then I would know their anger for myself and they were going to act at night. Already at night they climbed through the window and the protagonist was surprised that there was no security in such a place. There was only one person on duty who was asleep. Van told her that she needed to go up to the 5th floor, because if there is only one guard on the 1st floor, then all valuables will be where the most guards are, that is, on the 5th. The 4th floor should be the place where the elite and key gang members stay, and their leader, Tiger, lives on the 5th floor, where supplies are stored. And so their goal is to get to the 5th floor, find a place where supplies are stored and blow it up. They deftly slipped past the sleeping guards and went on. Already on the 3rd floor there was a guard and they had to crawl on their haunches and Van tried not to look at his girlfriend's ass. On the 4th floor, they had to use an anesthetic to knock out the guard. Already on the 5th floor, they noticed 2 bandits who were discussing supplies among themselves. There are fewer and fewer of them, and even they don't think they can hold out for more than a month. Therefore, they planned to capture the bear gang, because without it they would simply starve to death. But the problem is that they have explosives and grenades, so it will not be easy to take them. So the bandit believes that they need to take food and evacuate from here. At the same time, the bald man told him not to talk like that, because if the tiger hears him, he will be in trouble. Wang understood from the conversation where the tiger's room was located. The bandits went to the toilet, and Zio and Wang came to the room. They heard snoring and realized that he was asleep. The next room was locked, so he realized that it was a warehouse. At the same time, Zio said why would they interfere if they would sooner or later arrange a battle between themselves. Wang replied to her that in 7 days he would go home again, and the bandits had supplies for another month, so time was running out. The easiest way to force them to fight is to make it impossible for them to retreat. Wang understood that the tiger had the key, and they would not be able to find out what was behind the door until they entered there. Zio asked him not to worry and took out the wire. She can open any lock with it, so it's not a hindrance for her. Wang was very surprised and thought she was amazing. At this time, zombies crawled into the building from behind an open window, and their sound woke up the guard on the 1st floor and screamed loudly. The bandits heard the scream and realized that something had happened on the 2nd floor and ran there. At this time, Zio had already opened the lock and it turned out that it was indeed a warehouse of supplies. He wanted to plant dynamite and leave, but Zio hugged a bag of rice and wanted to take one with her since they would destroy everything anyway. The protagonist asked her not to take it because it is heavy and it will be harder for them to retreat, and they have plenty of food. At the same time, they immediately heard a scream that a group of zombies had made their way into the building, and Zio realized that it was their fault. The bandits knocked on the tiger's room and shouted about zombies, and the boss opened the door and hit the bandit in the face. He also said why bother him when he was sleeping. The bandit told him everything about the zombies, and the tiger was surprised that the zombies were able to get into such a guarded place. He immediately noticed that the doors to the warehouse were open and entered there. Wine was spilled on the floor, and because of this he was very angry. Then he noticed the explosives and they immediately went off and exploded. Tiger realized that they had used explosives to blow up his supplies and started yelling because of the bear gang. At this time, Zio and Wang were moving around the ventilation and eavesdropping on the bandits' conversations. Van was glad that everything ended well and their plan worked. After that, they wanted to start a war between wild sands and flying eagles. Then they went out in some office and immediately a horde of zombies appeared. She definitely shot zombies, but there were too many of them. She decided to distract them on herself, but she was noticed by a bandit who was running past. He realized that this explosion was not caused by a bear gang, but by this girl. She shot him right in the face. There was a bandit in front of her, and zombies were shaking hands behind her. He almost bit her, but Wang cut off the zombie's head. He told her it was better to use cold steel against zombies and gave her her dagger. Wang also added that he has killed a lot in games, but this is the first time he has encountered such a situation in real life. They need to come back alive. Now they will be comrades in arms, and they rushed straight at the zombies. After a while they coped with everything and were already at home. Wang was glad that there were fewer zombies than he expected, otherwise they would have died. Because of all this fighting, Zio was very hungry, and Wang gave her a packet of chips and invited her to celebrate the successful completion of the plan. He brought a bag of supplies and Zio attacked all the food. Although Wang had known her for a long time, he was still shocked with her appetite. He opened the beer and started drinking it, and Zio wanted to try it as well. At the same time, he was indignant because she was still a little girl. To drink beer, he brought her juice and carbonated drinks. She replied that she had not been small for a long time. And Wang added that besides age, everything else was no longer small, hinting at her breasts, and she covered it with her hands. After that, he decided to go wash and change clothes and asked her to rest after that as well. When he left, she was very interested in the taste of beer and she took it. At this time, Wang turned to the system. She sent him some kind of hint and wanted to look at it now. The system showed him his personal attribute panel. Van thought she was wrong, because he trains at school every day. His all parameters except dexterity were below normal. At the same time, the system explained that these values of the norm here are normal for the post-apocalyptic world. Therefore, those who survived in this world are much more physically healthy than in the real world. Wang was thinking about how to increase these indicators. The system explained that it was necessary to use gold to upgrade the system, and thus he would be able to increase these indicators. The second system update activates a lottery system with prizes such as food, weapons, attribute upgrades, and various skills. He realized that this is the same as the computer version, but it works on a human, and then asked how much the hedgehog costs the first upgrade. It costs 1,000 kilograms of gold, which is equal to 400 million, but Wang thought it was too expensive. The system advised him not to despair, because the deal is worth every penny. If he wins the skill book in the lottery system, he will be able to learn the appropriate skill and increase his chances of survival. Skills are also enhanced by killing zombies, and this makes him much stronger. And most importantly, he can use his skills and attributes in the real world. Wang remembered that he had insulted Mr. Lai and now he needed some defensive skills. At the same time, he asked if there would be any side effects, and the system assured him that nothing bad would happen. Wang realized that gold mining was now his main goal. When he came to Zio, he saw that she had drunk all the cans of beer and fell asleep. He carefully carried her to her room, then decided to take a little look at her body. It was beautiful, angelic face, devilish body, and she treated him very well, unlike Xiao. But he immediately brought himself to his senses and grabbed his cheeks and left. Zio immediately got up and did not understand why he left. She began to think that he perceived her as a sister. In the morning they changed their clothes and set out on their way. She told him to be careful, because someone is eating meat in the vicinity, and Van also felt it. She was a little tired of the food in the bag and wanted fresh meat. But Wang knew it was a trap. We are shown bandits who also came to the smell of meat. Zio and Wang decided to climb onto the roof and examine the whole situation. They were the Tiger Head people. This man's name is Chen Zhai Kang. He was the leader of a small subgroup in the Tiger Head gang. However, he knew that they had a shortage of food and therefore switched to a gang of wild sharks. Van was glad that he was from a gang of wild sharks because it could play into their hands. The bandits were ordered to stand because otherwise she would shoot. The bandits asked if policeman Mayo was there. The bandit said that he only saw them shoot a boar, and he hasn't eaten fresh meat for a long time. Sayo said that the policeman's name is Mayo and she was an officer before the onset of the post-apocalypse. After the onset of the post-apocalypse, she started using this house as a base, and in her team there is an old cop, Lai Chengping, who is her senior. Besides them, there are 5 or 6 other children and women, and all of them have no fighting ability. Wang didn't understand why they wouldn't just leave, but she explained that Lai Cheng had badly injured his leg, so Mayo stayed to take care of him, so you can say that she is quite a devoted person. Van wants to help them, but even more wants to defeat a gang of wild sharks, so he decided to help them. Mayo asked the bandits why they wouldn't go hunting themselves if there were so many of them. The bandit replied that they were constantly trying, but they were not lucky, so they decided to bother them. The bandit replied that they were constantly trying, but they were not lucky, so they decided to bother them. He doesn't want to take everything, only half. Cheng advised her to agree and Mayo replied that she knew them well. If you give in to them once, then after that they will cross all sorts of boundaries. She ordered them to leave because she had killed that boar. The bandit knew that they had only 2 pistols, and there were a lot of them here and there wouldn't be enough bullets for everyone. At the same time, she shot the bandit and told them to stop talking nonsense and if they want to attack, then let them attack. And the bandits immediately rushed at her. A shootout began, they shot at the windows, and others tried to knock out the doors. Mayo understood that she didn't have enough bullets and they couldn't continue shooting. Cheng understood that others were coming up the corridor. He ordered her to stay here, and he would go down and kill them. At this time, Wang told Zio to start shooting and she killed the shooter. The main bandit immediately realized that there was a sniper here and did not understand how such a thing was possible. Mayo realized that this was her chance and therefore also started shooting back. The bandit noticed Mayo and ordered others to kill her. The bandit wanted to shoot her, but Zio hit him on the arm. Everyone immediately realized that there was definitely a sniper here and ran into the building. He didn't understand how anyone dared to go against wild sharks. Mayo realized that this was her chance and therefore wanted to help the elder. He reported to her that everything was fine here. 2 managed to enter, but he killed them. At the same time, Mayo said that there were more of them, but someone decided to help them. The arrows of the wild sharks suddenly quieted down. Mayo understood that most likely they were killed and Jai Kang noticed it. Not knowing what to do, Chen decided to negotiate with Mayo.